Welcome to first breaking news from the ECSC 2021 in Prague. The European Cybersecurity Challenge is a key activity of the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity, ENISA, and aims to support cybersecurity talent across Europe and harness their potential in public organizations, private companies, and science and research. More than 200 contestants will be challenged in solving security-related tasks from domains such as web security, mobile security, crypto puzzles, reverse engineering, and forensics, and in the process collect points for solving them. Not surprisingly, the team with the most points in the end will become the winner. Czech Republic is proud to host the 6th edition of the ECSC, an important event planned within the government strategy, The Country for the Future, with an emphasis on international cooperation. Despite the problems and obstacles created by the COVID-19 pandemics, 17 national teams joined us here in the Congress Center in Prague, namely Austria, Belgium, Cyprus, Denmark, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Ireland, Malta, the Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovenia, Spain, and Switzerland. We would like to also welcome the non-competing guest teams from Slovakia and Canada. For the first time, there is a live stream with news service from the competition, as you probably know as you are watching it. On behalf of our crew, I'd like to invite you to some of the highlights of our today's program. For the first time, this year's ECSC has a background story. It will take us to the space on board of fleet ships and space stations. Don't worry, something will definitely go wrong in a spectacular way. You can learn more about that in our interview with the sci-fi author behind it. We will also dig deeper into today's blackout that happened right before lunch. You can also look forward to many interesting interviews with top experts from our partners about hot topics in the cybersecurity field. Amongst others, we'll talk about ransomware, machine learning, or the women in cybersecurity. You can follow the competition development in real time on the website ecsc2021.cz. In a few minutes, we will discuss it in more detail with our data analyst David Žahour, so stay tuned. Jaroslav Burčík, Czech proxy to the ECSC, will now introduce us in more detail into the concept of this year's challenge in the following short video.
Greetings, dear viewers. Today we are here with Mr. Jaroslav Burčík, the head of the Center of Cybersecurity at Czech Technical University. Hello.
Hello.
So currently you are teaching on Czech Technical University. What other activities do you participate in there?
I have my small cybersecurity lab at CTU, and we provide some special services for our partners from industry and for university, of course, too. So we provide penetration testing, for examples. We teaching, we educate the cybersecurity, and behind that, I like to cooperate with the industry. So I usually facilitate the cooperation between the industry and between the university in field of cybersecurity.
Now to the competition itself, how would you introduce the European cybersecurity competition to our viewers?
Today, as we are the hosting country in the European cybersecurity, we prepare in this fall some upgrades in this competition. So we have the new scheme. We have not only the competition each country against but we plan to include something we call it international team, which will consist the members from each country and which will try to solve some problems together inside the one team. So it's one of these surprise, and the second one is it's a story on the background. Yeah, there is a quite strong story on the background. We involved the very famous Czech sci-fi writer Jan Kotouč, and he wrote some special story for this event. So that's second surprise for our colleagues.
Great, thank you for your time.
You are welcome.
Now we will take a look at a short aftermovie about the preparations of the ECSC 2021. Let's see how it began yesterday.
We are the next.
The next generation of visionaries.
Rule breakers, game changers,
and world beaters.
We certainly aren't here to do what's been done before.
And neither are we. At Palo Alto Networks, we are ready to secure our digital future. We innovate to outpace cyber threats, so you can make the next day safer than the one before.
We've got next.
Alef has been one of the largest IT suppliers in Central and Eastern Europe since 1994, providing professional services in security, infrastructure, applications, architecture, cloud, and training, covering consultancy and auditing, design of IT solutions, project management, network supervision and management, IT infrastructure outsourcing, and hardware delivery, all in cooperation with the leading vendors in the IT marketplace. Visit us at alef.com.
We have here in our studio our data analyst, David Žahour. You are also an author of some of the challenges for this year's ECSC. We will discuss the morning development of the competition. So tell us, what happened between the 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.?
Well, for starters, we can look at the graph of the activity on the website. In the morning, we can see the spike of the request for the challenges. The spike was pretty high. Actually, it was around 100 per every second. That means, well, we have like 60 competitors. They really refresh the site and take it a load. It was really challenging for our infrastructure, but the infrastructure held, and it was all good.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, you have some top secret information in that laptop, let's be honest. I hope you can share at least a little bit with us. For example, which of the challenges was the probably easiest one, which was solved first?
Yeah, about the easiest one, the first solved one is called the batch. It was right now pretty much solved by every nation, maybe one missing. And the medium time for solve was like 34 minutes, like half of our piece of cake.
Okay, and what type of challenge is it? Is it like forensics or?
This one challenge was hardware challenge, and it was pretty easy. Mm-hmm. It was basically moving through the file system and finding some flags.
Okay, and on the contrary, what challenges seemed to be the most challenging?
Well, the most demanding challenges still have some of them aren't solved yet, and the one which can have solved only from one nation. And around now, as I look, they solve take like 5 hours. So yeah, there is some really hard challenges too. The one of them, the magic transit, was about forensics and networking. So basically, finding some abnormalities in the network traffic.
Mm-hmm. And so can you tell us which category seems to be like most popular, that are being solved the most?
A lot of the categories is about reverse engineering, that they are the harder ones. There is also some AI challenges that are on the medium plate. So for me it is really nice because I'm the author of the AI ones. Okay. And this easy one are basically pretty much some easy crypto also, like finding a flag in the image, hidden in the image, etc.
Okay, you already said that you're an author of some of the challenges. How many of today's are yours?
Today I have only one challenge online. I program it with my friend Patrick from the team. And it's AI based, and right now it's in the medium part. It's medium hard, so it's around right now 8 states solve it.
Okay, and how many of your challenges we will see tomorrow?
4 of them. A lot of them are really hard, and I'm really watching for this way and approach from the teams, how they will decide to solve them.
And did you enjoy creating them?
Yes and no, because even if I was able to create them fast, there is a lot of testing which take a part before you release some challenge. So the programming is fun, but you must think about, okay, but they are hackers, what can they do? I don't want them to hack my challenge and do some tricks, like if you imagine you have a large file system full of top secret data and someone just write grep, which is a command that can extract data from the file, and grep ECSC flag. That was not intended solution, so we must check this out. So yeah, programming challenges is fun, but the testing and writing the documentation for every programmer is the boring stuff.
Yeah, I understand. And you were also a participant of the ECSC in the past?
Yeah, the first time I was in London, and the second time I was in Romania.
And which part is more fun, being a participant or being a creator of challenges?
Both parts have something to it. I really think the part of being creator is for sometimes like why they can see it, to solve it, it's so easy. But I remember when I was the one who's trying to solve the challenge, and it was like, this has no sense, what's happening right now?
I understand. And well, now for the most important question. What is the score? Who is elite?
Yeah, this is not the most actual score, but as we can tell, the nations still are pretty close together by points, so it means it can change every second, like someone solved 2 challenges and it could be in the top. But right now Poland is taking the lead. The second is Denmark, but we can see what they do. But as I point out, they are really close together. The Poland may be running a little bit high, but we can expect to somebody take a lead. It's nothing decided yet, and I think that the tomorrow will be still hard fight, and even the last one who doesn't make a lot of points can still have a chance. So as I said, nothing is decided yet.
Okay, well, we will see each other here at around 6 o'clock to discuss the afternoon development of events. And so thank you, and we will see at 6 o'clock.
You're welcome.
Palo Alto Networks is the global cybersecurity leader. Let's talk about their innovations with Chief Security Officer for Northern Europe, Jesper Olsen. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
Please tell us about Palo Alto Networks and its approach to cybersecurity.
Absolutely. So Palo Alto Networks is the global cybersecurity leader. We serve more than 82,000 customers globally, so that covers more than 150 countries. And we do this with a security technology portfolio where we believe integration, automation and simplification is the key elements for the best protective solution you can have. In addition to this, we have our Unit 42 threat research team that many people have come to know as well. We provide security advisories both to our customers but also to anyone who's interested actually. And all of that combined to provide our vision to the cybersecurity community, our vision of each day should be more safe and more secure than the one before. So yeah, that's Palo Alto Networks in a nutshell.
Well, with that many customers worldwide, you possess a huge data set.
Yes.
Is it possible to use these past records to predict future zero-day threats?
Yeah, and I would love it to be, but unfortunately, no. Fortune telling is not a merit of cybersecurity organizations today. What we can do with a huge data set like that is we can utilize the knowledge and detect and respond to variations of existing attack schemes and attack methodologies from the adversaries. But if we were to predict things, that would require the adversaries not to evolve. And I think you will echo this, that over the past year we've seen cybersecurity adversaries and attackers, we've seen them change and evolve the way they approach organizations. So unfortunately, not yet.
Well, automation and machine learning are Palo Alto's domains.
Yes.
Do you expect artificial intelligence to gradually replace your human cybersecurity experts?
Yeah, I love that question because I would love for someone else to do my work and then I could sit in the background. But at the same time, I would also feel terrible because I wouldn't contribute much. But no, it's not going to happen any day soon. And the reason for that is you need the AI and machine learning to be able to detect and respond faster. And you can utilize that to remove the tedious and repetitive tasks for your cybersecurity professionals. But you still need the humans to go in and define the policies, look into the business processes, and optimize your technology use at the same time. So it's not going to replace humans, rest assured.
Well, but humans are still the most vulnerable vector in the whole cybersecurity industry. When you task artificial intelligence with improving cybersecurity, isn't the most logical way how to do this to lock the human users out of the system?
Yeah, you could say that, but luckily this is not August 29 in 1997 where Skynet became self-aware, which I'm very happy about, by the way. But no, if that were to happen, basic programming foundation was made wrong, because what we want to achieve is accessibility in a secure manner. It's not security with accessibility where possible. So if you utilize AI and machine learning to determine who has access, you should rather determine how they get access and what they can get access to, so the basic requirements for it. So it's all in the first line of programming, more or less.
And what are some of the key trends you are seeing in the cybersecurity landscape that maybe companies are struggling with right now?
Yeah. I can definitely share a few. We know that from our Unit 42 research team, they recently updated their ransomware threat report, and it's very obvious that ransomware is on the rise. Ransomware comes in many variations, but what we see is that there's an increase not only in the amounts of ransomware being utilized and the attacks growing, but there's a definite increase in the demand of ransom as well. Actually, we saw from the average of 2020 and then compare it to the first half of 2021, there was more than 500% increase in the demand. So it's a huge amount they're asking for. And at the same time, the increase in demand, you have what we call the evolution of their attack schemes. So now they're not just going after your data and stealing that and then encryption. That was the old schemes. Now they're moving into what we call quadruple extortion schemes. That means they're stealing the data, then they're encrypting the data, and then they start threatening you with, if you're still not paying ransom, with denial of service attacks, for instance. And then the fourth element is harassment. So they start sharing parts of your information to maybe your partners or media to sort of push you towards the payment instead. So they're definitely changing their attack schemes, and that's a challenge for many organizations. So if organizations today are not aware of how and when the data leaves their organization and not capable of protecting from the encryption as well, it might be a challenge for them as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, now please allow me a personal question.
Absolutely.
How did you end up in the cybersecurity industry?
Yeah, and thank you for that question. I always, I'm scared of those questions because it reveals how old I am. But in the mid-90s, I was a young military police officer, and I realized back then that when you have the ability to protect someone, you should do your best to do so. And I've carried that mentality with me throughout the years. Then in the late 90s, early 2000, I discovered I had a talent for IT in general, and I had a very deep interest in hacking. So I spent the next couple of decades on hacking everything I could and failing miserably. But you learn a lot from mistakes, right? So So yeah, that was actually my journey into it, and ended up, in great positions, and now proud to be the Chief Security Officer at Palo Alto Networks. So, yeah.
And would you care to share a few tips for those who might be interested in following career in the cybersecurity?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You've probably heard this as well, that many security professionals, they're pressured by the workload, always playing this catch-up game. So my first tip is the balance. Make sure you balance your profession with what you cherish the most. And even though I like work, I would still say you need something aside from work to distract you a bit from time to time. So balance and allow yourself to restore energy. The second tip I have is sharing. Share your success is something all people like to do, but share failures is something we need to learn to do. And sharing of failures allows others to avoid making the same mistakes, and then we grow as a community as well. So that would be my second tip. The third tip I have is utilize your peer network. When you share mistakes, you have a great opportunity to also expand in your peer network. So utilize your peers and really, mingle. I like that.
Well, thank you very much for these tips and for the whole interview.
Thank you.
We had a special development today at noon when all the servers went down in the middle of the competition. We have a few guests here to help us investigate the event. First, I'd like to ask Jan Kotouč, the sci-fi author behind this year's cybersecurity story. What happened in space?
In space, that's the wonderful thing, we don't know. It could have been attack of hackers, it could have been sabotage, it could have been some space pirates. Traveling on a spaceship is dangerous on the best day, and there are a million things that can go wrong on a spaceship.
And what is your tip, personal tip?
Well, given where we are now, I think hackers.
It sounds quite probable. And how did you come up with such idea? How it serves the story?
Well, as an author, I always think, like, how can I make my heroes suffer, and what can go wrong, and how can I make their lives complicated, and so it's easy, I just develop an ideal setting, and then I think, okay, what can I screw up here, what can I screw up over there, and then the story just takes off.
Okay, well, in the sake of the characters, I hope you also have thought about how to make them happy in the end.
Maybe we will have to wait for the end.
Okay, we'll see. Next, we have Jaroslav Burčík, who is the Czech proxy of the ECSC and head of Cybersecurity Center at Czech Technical University.
Hello.
Who was sent to resolve the issue with the servers shut down?
That's a question, but we have an answer. No, it's not a joke, because we don't know what's happened, but we know who can solve it. And we have a special task force team here, which consists from the ladies, gentlemen, and they set up the international team of cybersecurity experts, and we hope they will solve it.
And why an international team? Why don't you just send a national team of one of the countries?
Oh, why not? Because this story, it's about the international cooperation. We have there 19 countries, so the whole fleet is based on nations, so we set up the international team.
And is this a new concept for the ECSC to create this international challenge inside of the challenge?
Definitely. First time in the Czech Republic.
Okay, there are many first times this year in Prague. And my last, but not the least, guest is Eliška Kühnerová, who is the author of the international challenge. How is it different from the national escape rooms?
The national escape room is only for one country, so that's the main difference. And they have limited time, they have only 30 minutes, but the international team wasn't limited, they had to solve it. And one spoiler, they did it.
Wow.
And they did it and they cooperate very well, so it was great.
And how long it did take them, do you know?
It took 1 hour.
Okay, okay. And what kinds of challenges did they have to resolve?
There was a series of ciphers, there was some team challenges. For example, one person was blindfolded and other teammates have to help him to solve some puzzles. And it was inspired by escape room, so they need to find some clues or something like that.
Okay, and was it dramatic?
Actually, it was not dramatic. It seems they had fun, so it was the main reason why we did it.
And how big a challenge was to design such a challenge for you?
Honestly, it was a big challenge for me because they are here for hacking and for hardcore challenges and not for having fun or something like that. So it was challenging to come with something what will be fun for them and what is not hacking.
Okay, well, thank you all for trying to clarify the shutdown, and let's hope it will not further jeopardize the fleet's journey into the space. Thank you very much for the interview.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Our guest here is Jan Kopřiva, team lead of incident response and offensive security for one of the largest suppliers of information technology in Czech Republic, Alef. We will talk, among other things, about current trends in cyber security testing. Welcome, Mr. Kopřiva.
Thank you for having me.
So, media often publish articles about the increasing number of cyber attacks during the pandemic. Do you see such a problem in your company?
As you've mentioned, we are an incident response provider, among other things, so not in our company per se, but in our customer environments, yes, fairly heavily. Depending on the type of customer, the types of attacks might be different. Attackers have increased their attempts in some areas, while they have slackened in others.
What are the three common types of security tests, and which circumstances should they be used?
Oh. Well, the main three types of security testing which have become somewhat standardized over the years are the basic vulnerability scanning, which will allow organizations to use some type of scanner, automated tool, which will detect vulnerabilities, known vulnerabilities in their infrastructure and their applications. It's fairly cheap and easy to use, so pretty much any company can implement it using their internal resources. It doesn't require too much expertise. So this is something that most companies actually do to get some idea of how they're doing in terms of vulnerabilities. When they are sophisticated enough or mature enough, they might move on to the second type of testing, which will enable them to actually mitigate one of the drawbacks of vulnerability assessments, and those are false positives. Since the automated scanner is the only thing that checks the environment, it can, using some mistaken idea or technique, consider some fully patched systems as vulnerable. Penetration tests are actually based upon manual attempts at breaking into systems by what we call ethical hackers or penetration testers. So basically, yes, you engage an ethical hacker team. These people will come and they will try to breach your infrastructure and find as many vulnerabilities as possible, or as many vulnerabilities of certain types as possible. They will, unlike in terms of vulnerability scans, also try to eliminate all false positives that might affect any type of scan. So you will only get the list of true vulnerabilities, true positives. The third type of security tests, as it were, that we see nowadays more and more is so-called red teaming. Now, red teaming is a concept taken from armed forces. What it means is that you engage, again, some security specialist team, but these people won't try to go in and find all the vulnerabilities. What they will do is they will try to do threat model of your organization, determine which threat actors, real-world threat actors, might target organizations such as yours, and they will try to find the tactics, techniques, and procedures that this specific attacker uses, and they will try to apply them to your environment. So they will try to breach you using the techniques that a real-world attacker would probably use. In this case, you will get a fairly good idea of not just how many vulnerable systems you have, but also whether someone could actually penetrate your environment and what they might be able to do there.
I really would like to know, do you have your own personal experience as a member of, for example, blue team or red team or purple team?
All three, as it were. As you've mentioned, I lead a team specializing in incident response and offensive security both. So I've been in a blue team, I've been on the red side of things doing penetration tests, red teaming, and currently I'm somewhere in the middle, so yes, in the purple team area.
Let's talk about trends. In each area there are different types of trends that change over time. Is there something like that?
In terms of security testing, that would actually be the previously alluded to purple teaming. Yeah, it's something that hasn't been around that long in its current form. What it is basically is taking together the red team approach and attempting to increase blue team capabilities using it. So you're doing it not in an adversarial fashion as it used to be, but you're doing it cooperatively. You're trying to coordinate the actions of a red team and actions of a blue team. If red team tries some attack, some coordinator will take a look at blue team detection and say, well, you didn't detect it, let's try to improve that. And they go again and try the same attack again. And in this case, the organization can quickly improve and get better and better using this cooperative approach between red and blue.
It sounds really interesting.
It is, and it's actually a sort of a quick win for organizations that are mature enough to implement red teaming.
Do you collaborate with another cybersecurity institutions or communities?
Yes, indeed. As we've mentioned, we do incident response in this area. Incident response teams, so-called CERTs or CCERTs, have their own communities. Basically, there's one in every corner of the world, but two most important for us are one TFC CERT or Trusted Introducer, which is based in Europe, and one FIRST, which is global. So yes, we are part of both of these communities, and within them, teams such as ours can exchange information, they can cooperate when it comes to, for example, handling an incident or just sharing indicators of compromise related to an incident.
I have to say that your team in Alef has received a very important certification called Trusted Introducer. What does it entail?
Well, the Trusted Introducer certified status is basically the third and highest stage of membership in one of the communities, the European one, as it were. They have three types of membership. The first one listing is accessible to any team globally. They only need to satisfy few basic requests. The mid-level tier, as it were, accreditation, requires the team to be, let us say, fully functional. They have to have some processes in place, they have to have some people in place, and they need to cooperate with the community at large. The certification level is basically just guarantee on the part of the community that the team is mature enough to satisfy the current best practice in the area of incident response, so that they have all the technologies, that the people, the procedures that they need, and they are able to satisfy all the requirements placed upon them by their organization or their customers.
So how can we improve our knowledge in this area?
Well, in general terms, in wider public, let us say, I think that one of the steps we should be taking is wider, actually talking wider about cybersecurity topics. Actually, this cybersecurity challenge, the idea of European cybersecurity challenge, is great in this instance because it enables us to bring in young students, both from high school and from universities, as well as wider public, and let them know that cybersecurity matters, no matter whether they choose to be a cybersecurity specialist in the future or whether they just want to be a secure user or a secure IT specialist in some other area.
Yes, I agree. My last question, why is cybersecurity interesting for you as a field?
Well, my job is fairly unusual. I like to say that I'm jack of all trades, master of absolutely none of them. I like to know enough to be able to bother experts about their work, but I wouldn't be able to do their work for them. So what I like about my work is that it's never the same. I can try new aspect of cybersecurity pretty much every day, so it's constantly changing for me.
I think that's interesting, not to have stereotypes days, but different. Yeah. So thank you for a nice interview and have a nice day.
My pleasure.
Bye.
You as well.
Welcome to the breaking news from the last hour of the ECSC 2021. We already have one challenge fully solved by all teams. It was the badge challenge. During solving of one of the challenges, competing team computer got affected by malware. How can that happen at a cybersecurity event? We will discuss it with David Žahour at our next interview. So far, every team who tried crashed into the asteroid in the escape room challenge. So, good luck to the remaining teams. And next, see the interview with our diamond partner, Palo Alto Networks. The European Union Agency for Cybersecurity, ENISA, is dedicating to achieving a high common level of cybersecurity across Europe. It's also the power of ECSC. With us in our studio is the program manager for the ECSC, Adrian Belmonte. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah. Please tell me, why is it important to raise the level of cybersecurity together in Europe? Why is it not enough just to, if every country reinforced it itself?
We think that the stronger together is a good logo, a good memo. So it's something we try to rise from, not only from ENISA, but also from the Commission, from the European Union level, is to bring a same level of expertise regarding cybersecurity in all Europe. So, I mean, the question will be exactly what is the benefit to be alone in this current situation regarding cybersecurity. I don't think that being separated from the rest will benefit in terms of security in general terms. So, from ENISA and the Commission, as I said, we think that being all together, being able to share information, being able to better coordinate for crisis management, for cyber threats, it's all in the benefit of everyone. And we think that it has not to stop in the European level, it has to be more international. I can give you an example. In the middle of the crisis, talking about incident response or crisis response, you cannot spend 2 or 3 days waiting for a telephone from a Ministry Affairs of any European country. To have this old practices and to go all the crisis one time again, it gives you the expertise to better respond to the cyber crisis. And also being all together in the same level gives you expertise from other countries that face some problems in the past, so they can share information, they can share experience with you for a better coordination in the future with other countries.
Well, one of the goals of ENISA is to prepare Europe for the cyber attacks or cyber challenges of future. Which are these?
Okay, regarding to future cyber challenges, it can be a little bit tricky because it will depend on what you consider. In a society, it can be something that is not, let's say, discovered yet, or something that is recently discovered and it has a big impact on the society in general. For example, we are talking, for example, the blockchain or artificial intelligence, machine learning, something that can bring a cutting-edge, let's say, impact in the society. The thing is that any technological advance can bring risk, can bring threats, and we have let's say, a problem that the attackers normally, they have a step ahead of us in terms of discovering ways to try to trick you. I'm talking, for example, with artificial intelligence to try to, let's say, improve the capabilities to break into any system. I can give you example. We are in Prague. Now it's a very beautiful with many castles. From the point of a defender, he has to be aware of all the, let's say, castle, to protect all the castle. He cannot take, he has to protect the walls, he has to protect the doors, have to protect the tower, have to protect everything. However, the attacker has only to find one weak point to enter the castle. So that's the same thing that happens in cybersecurity. You have to be aware of everything. And in the future cyber challenges, also in an organizational perspective, it can be also something that is not expected. It's not has to be new, but it's not expected. Like happened with the COVID situation with teleworking. Teleworking is something that is widely adopted, but if your organization is not prepared for this, it's a cyber challenge for you, and it's a future cyber challenge for you. So you have to be ready. From ENISA, we think that the way of tackle this, let's say, future cyber challenge in general, the one that they're expected and the one that are more unexpected, is first of all user trainings, but also political level, technical level, etc. Technical, more let's say, trainings in terms of how to respond to crisis. Not that technical in the terms that you have to focus like here to challenges about forensic, etc. Anyone can be involved in cybersecurity, from the legal, human resources, of course, administration, C-level has to be aware also. So being aware about cybersecurity in all levels, it can bring another level of security to your organization. And finally, the two very important points are, first of all, coordinate with your national security center, coordinate at European level, and finally, practice and go through scenarios. What happens if we have this scenario? How we respond? Do we have the telephone numbers? Do we have the procedures? We have the guidelines. And from ENISA, we try to give all this information to not only to the cybersecurity related professionals, but also more, let's say, less cybersecurity related people, let's say.
Well, you mentioned exercises. One of your another tasks at ENISA is Cyber Europe, one of the biggest cyber security exercises in the world. Can you compare it anyhow with the ECSC? Is there anything in common?
Actually, it's very close related. Actually, we consider the European Cybersecurity Challenge to be the cyber exercise to be the natural evolving of the cybersecurity challenge, because at the end, this young talent that they are here today participating is expected that they will build the future of cybersecurity in Europe. So they will take the responsibility to not only execute the cyber exercise, but creating the future cyber exercise, to be involved in the national level or national cybersecurity centers, to be evolved at the European level. So it's very related in terms of, let's say, involvement of the projects, but also they have more, let's say, other kind of relationship. For example, in the technical side, the challenge that we provide here can be easily transformed to challenge that can be used for the cyber exercise. Of course, the cyber exercise has more political side, how to respond to a crisis in general terms. Additionally, the good thing that ENISA can bring is that we have a lot of expertise, a lot of experience managing the steering committee, the management board, the different countries. So we know who to contact, how to approach them, how to manage them. And also we can bring a level of transparency and equality for all the countries that I think is very important in general terms for the countries to feel that there is no special relationship with any other member, let's say.
Well, you've been participating at the ECSC for the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. In your eyes, how has it changed? Are the participants anyhow different?
Yeah, it's changed dramatically in the following 3 or 4 years. The number of countries has been increasing, but in terms of participation, we find now that the participants are more professional. They are very well trained. And I think it's a natural consequence about the management that we did from the ECSC, Steering Committee and Management Board. Since we try to create a common path for them to train, if any new country comes now to the Steering Committee, they have a lot of information about how the rest of the country create the competition, how they manage, how they can find the challenges, what is the platform. From ENISA, we try also to provide this to the Steering Committee. We try to create open source platforms like the scoreboard that we create, and we improve every year. We try to promote to provide also a cyber challenge for them that they can just translate to the organizations. But it's also easily translated to normal organizations, companies, or educational centers, or whatever, that they want to use this, let's say, orientation or way of training for them to start. So, in general terms, I mean, the change from 3 years to now in terms of maturity, the new countries now that they just joined, they reach the maturity level that the rest had in the past very quickly, due to the information that we share, due to the meetings, due to also to the consistency of the management board.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything that you are personally especially looking forward to at this year's ECSC finals? Well, of course, except from the evening receptions.
Well, for us, for ENISA, and also I understand for all the organizers, it's a pleasure to be possible to be here after 2 years of COVID. So for us, this is a win. Of course, I wish that the competition will be done in a safe way, so everyone is safe at the end of the competition. But at the end, from the point of view of ENISA, the end of the competition is the start of the new one, which will be next year in Vienna, next year in 2022. So I expect that people will still commit to the task, and they will attend, and more countries will join next year, including the countries that unfortunately were not able to come this year.
I understand. Well, thank you very much for powering the ECSC and for the interview.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Jan Kotouč, author of several important works in the field of military science fiction and space opera. In addition to writing, Jan Kotouč holds a master's degree in communication and mass media. He received the Encouragement Award in 2012 and is currently the main creator of the story for European Cyber Security Challenge. Hello, Mr. Kotouč.
Thank you for inviting
me. You're welcome. How did you get into writing military science fiction and space opera? And maybe what is the difference between these two genres?
Yeah, I think I can speak for most writers when I say that they don't think about genres and subgenres all that much. They simply like to write something they themselves would like to read if it were written by something else, which is my case. I like books by David Weber and Timothy Zahn and authors who wrote like similar type of genres, so I decided to write something similar. And both are like subgenres of science fiction, which I'm sure people know in general terms what that means. Military science fiction usually revolves around military issues. There typically, but not necessarily, is some conflict. Often the main characters are members of the military. So that's military science fiction. And space opera, it's even more difficult to define. But generally, I would say that space opera is a subgenre of science fiction where all the technologies and the different planets and all these things are just props, just the environment. Not the story is not about it.
So, for example,
well, if typical space opera is, for example, Star Wars. We all know it, or Marvel movies. We don't care how the hyperdrive works, or we just look at the story. And that does not mean that I don't try to be accurate with physics as possible. While I don't know much about it, I have people who advise me. But the story is not about it. It's not about a new technology.
Yeah. I see you brought some of your books, which have also been published in English translation, which is not entirely common with sci-fi written in Czech. So what is it about?
Yeah, this is actually the same book. It's the Czech edition and the English language edition. And this is my series called The Central Imperium, which is actually the series that the ECSC Challenge is taking place in. And so it's the same universe, and these are 4 books. It's a space opera with, I like to say it's my love letter to the genre, because it has like big empires rising and falling and intrigue and big battles and a hero who owns a bunny and likes to play poker, which is my gimmick, something that's usually not somewhere else. This is my thing. And so our challenge is set in the same universe, taking place after the story of these books, but the people don't need to read this to understand the story or what the story is about.
In addition to writing, you also organize creative writing courses, and you teach at the University of New York, Prague. How did you get there, and do you even teach during the pandemic?
Before I taught creative writing and also speculative literature, and I get there, as with anything in this creative business, by fluke, by accident, by being in the right place at the right time. I just was around when they were looking for someone, and actually there was some other projects I was supposed to do. It didn't happen, which is also absolutely normal in this business. But later they asked me if I would teach speculative literature. Speculative means science fiction and fantasy.
It came in the right time.
Yeah, and then I taught there for a while creative writing.
So let's go to the competition we are all looking forward to. As I said, you are a main creator for a story for ECSC. which will accompany the contestant during those fateful 2 days. So what the story will be about?
And well, it's basically the contestants will be crews of colony ships traveling to settle a new world, a new planet in a different sector, which as I said, it takes place after the story. So there was a war, the civilization tries to rise again, so they travel to settle a new world. And of course something goes wrong, and because it's a competition of hackers or cybersecurity, then someone is going to hack their ships and cause trouble with their, for example, environment and with their hyperdrive or with their artificial gravity, all these things, and the competitors would need to solve these problems. And so I think it will be, maybe they will end up on the planet and they will serve or try to solve other problems on that planet itself. And so they will start in space and probably end up on the planet.
I really would like to know, how does such a story form? What is the procedure?
Well, this was different, very different than when I, for example, tried to figure out the story of the first book, because this is a group effort, and I was approached by Jaroslav Burčík, who is in charge of this project, and we were brainstorming. And I think there is at a point that I honestly don't remember who came up first with some idea. I know we've been talking about colony fleet for some time, and then I suggested that if it can take place in my universe of the Central Imperium, and they said yes. And then we figured out if it should be like one ship or several ships, and if it should be some bonus content, and what types of problems would there be. And I also know that then I've been talking with students who are going to be like creating the problems for their colleagues, and they had questions like, well, can we like have fridge, because we thought some problem would involve a fridge, and I'm not sure if there are fridges in the future. And I said, everything is in the future, and you can always call it like a cryogenic eco-freezer or something like that. So, and the problem would be the same. Yeah, so that's how the brainstorming worked, and some places are still yet left purposefully ambiguous, because we may figure out we need to put this there or that there. So it's we need to fill in the blanks. We still need to fill in some blanks.
And how long took that brainstorming?
Well, I was first approached by Jaroslav Burčík about a year ago, and we did some brainstorming. We had pretty good general idea in the spring. Then, of course, we were away during the summer. Then we again had some brainstorming sessions in the fall, and then I sat down and wrote a short story which sort of takes place before the event, the competition, before the story of the competition, so before the colony ships set off. And we had an agreement that once I sit down to write a short story, I need to have all the main things locked or like set in stone, so I would not have to rewrite the short story later if they decide to do something else, which is thankfully not what happened. So the short story was finished, and that would take place before, and I think it would be available online for the participants.
And how did you react to the offer to be the main creator of this story? Have you ever participated in a similar type of event?
I will answer the second question first. I did not. I did some small things, like I wrote script for fan film or for some theater play, and of course I write books, but not an event like that. And I think my first reaction was, what is that? Because I did not know what it is, what it entails, and I was not sure I was not exactly sure at the beginning what is being asked of me. How does it whole thing work? So the first few brainstorming sessions were like more like for me to get to understand what actually is going to happen. So I cannot say I was shocked or happy.
In a nice way, you know.
Yeah, I cannot say I was shocked or happy or whatever, because I just was mostly curious. Yeah, I was mostly curious.
How are you looking forward to competition, and do you wonder how the contestant will react to your story?
Yeah, of course I wonder. I look forward to just be there. I can be what is as it's called, the fly on the wall, and just observe the students. They will probably be talking in a language I barely understand, because they will talk all about the cyber security and drinking lots of energy drinks, and so I'm interested in the reaction, because as you pointed out, this is the first time I'm doing something like this, so it's terra incognita for me.
It will be interesting.
Yeah.
So thank you for a nice interview and have a nice day. Thank you.
Petr Jirásek is the chairman of Czech Cyber Security Working Group, a member of the Cyber Committee AFCA International, and also the regional vice president for Central Eastern European and Baltic regions. He is a security leader, cyber evangelist, a founder of Czech Cyber Security competition for high school students. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you much.
This September, it will be the 6th year that the Czech National Cyber Security competition takes place. What do you think is the factor that explains that the number of participants is growing from 2,000 to almost 5,000 competitors in the first round?
The most easier answer will be that we are so good, that we are growing so much. But I would say that it's mainly because there is an interest about cybersecurity among the students, among the teachers, and among the Czech schools. And of course, there is very high interest among the employers in the Czech Republic about future cybersecurity experts.
Mm-hmm. And could you maybe explain the process of how ECSC happened to be taking place in Prague this year?
Again, the easy answer is we wanted to have ECSC in Prague. But of course, it is not so easy as it looks like. We are maybe the biggest national competition in European Union. And I would say that we are one of the most successful European competition in European Union. Czech competition exists already 6 years, and as you mentioned, we are growing quite fast. And we are not only unique by number of participants, also compared to the number of citizens living in Czech Republic, but also from other aspects, like how many females are participating to our competition, etc. So I think all this made final decision of steering committee of European Cybersecurity Challenge to decide that Czech Republic is good place to run this year edition of European Finals in Prague.
Mm-hmm. I'm very interested in the women's number ratio, so I'll be asking that later. But before that, how long did it take to prepare the whole event?
This is a very good question. I would say maybe a few years, 3 years, 2 years at least. There was a lot of strategic preparation, also to encourage governmental institutions, private companies and academia to support this event, but also to find people who will be really organizing all this. By the way, around us, there are many students, and this was also our goal to engage as many as possible students to the preparation. So it took a lot of effort. There was a lot of volunteers working on this for thousands of hours, and we are so happy that finally we are here during the European finals, and we can show what we did it during last years of the preparation.
Why do you think there are so many people excited to be involved in cybersecurity in the Czech Republic compared to other countries in Europe?
This is a good question, but I would not say that from this point of view we are different from other countries. Maybe it's not visible in their national competitions because each country is organizing the national competition in a little bit different way. But the interest about cybersecurity for future profession, workforce in real life, it's very high for many reasons. And one of them is we are living in modern IT-dependent societies, and IT-dependent societies are vulnerable to potential risks and threats in virtual world, in cyberspace. Therefore, we need cybersecurity experts. And beside this, we don't need only cybersecurity experts. We need also people who are aware about what kind of risks are in virtual world. So even doctors, lawyers, teachers, or even politicians need to know what they need to do to be secure in this virtual world.
Mm-hmm. If we look at the participants of this year, do you think that they are the hope for future cybersecurity, that we are secure looking at the participants?
Again, not very easy question, because this is not only matter about how many people are interested about the topic. We need also to well educate them, and also to allow them to have good experiences, a lot of practice, to get skills and knowledge about cybersecurity. But I would say that we are doing our best, that our future will be the secure future.
Mm-hmm. And back to the girls' number, there is quite a high ratio of girls in cybersecurity competitions in the Czech Republic compared to other European countries. Why do you think that is?
Again, I'm sure that I can find many reasons why it is, but I would say we are lucky in two fields. First of all, in Czech education system, we have a lot of female teachers, women who are teaching at schools, and I'm sure that there are some kind of encouragement also for young female students to participate to activities like cybersecurity. The second reason is that during our competition we are not only focusing on technical kind of schools, but we also encourage to join our competition students from business academies, from financial schools, or even from language academies. By the way, they are testing their level of English language. And as you know, on such schools we have mainly female students. So yes, it's true, in Czech Republic we have about 32% of the female students participating to the competition, what is much higher than is the average in European Union, which is only 7%.
That was Petr Jirásek, founder of the European Cybersecurity Championship. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let me welcome here at ECSC 2021 Daniel Mart from Austria. Welcome.
Hi.
Can you shortly introduce your team?
Yeah, hi. So I'm a coach of the Austrian national team. We arrived early yesterday afternoon in Prague here, and be assured we are fully motivated and excited for this competition.
What do you consider as the biggest strength of your team?
Well, it's difficult to say. We have a quite lengthy qualification process in Austria, so I would not say we have a specific strength from a technical point of view, but we are really flexible when it comes to these.
And who do you think will be the most challenging opponent here at ECSC?
Well, I think all our competitors are really strong, but as we have seen in Bucharest at the last edition of the competition, Romania and Italy were really tough, so we will have an eye on them.
Okay, and last, in your language, how do you say "we are the champions"?
Wir sind die Sieger.
Thank you, and all the best to you.
Thank you.
Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Where you gonna run to? All on that day, will I run to the rock? Please hide me and run to the rock. Please hide me and run to the rock. Please hide me, Lord, all on that day. But the rock cried out, I can't hide you, the rock cried out.
5 minutes later.
Rock cried out, I ain't gonna hide you down. All on that day, I said, rock, what's the matter with you, rock? Don't you see I need you, rock? Lord, 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 all on that day. So I ran to the river, it was bleeding to run to the sea. It was bleeding to run to the sea. It was bleeding all on that day. So I ran to the river, it was boiling, I ran to the sea. It was boiling, I ran to the sea. It was boiling all on that day. So I ran to the Lord.
Let me welcome here at ECSC 2021 in Prague, Nik du Bois from Belgium. Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
How would you shortly introduce your team?
Well, in Belgium we have the habit to call our teams red and something, like we have the Red Flames, most known the Red Devils, the football team. So when we picked the team of our best cybersecurity candidates, we named ourselves the Red Demons to have the cyber link.
That's nice. What do you consider as the biggest strength of your team?
We have a pretty strong, diverse team. We have people from military background, from private sector, from bounty hunting, so I think that's definitely a strength.
And which team do you think will be the most challenging opponent?
Well, I've seen some of the names on the Discord in Poland, Romania. They have some pretty good candidates, so I think those will be our main opponents.
Okay, and in your language, how would you say we are the champions?
That's a bit of a difficult question because we have 3 languages in Belgium. We have Dutch, we have French, and we have German. So, wij zijn de kampioenen in Dutch. In fact, most of the time we would say we are the champions as well, or on est les champions in French, or in German I think it is wir sind die Sieger.
Thank you,
So,
and all the best for you.
Same to you. Thank you.
Welcome everybody. This is presentation titled Cryptography Plus. I am Michal Uliáš from SSPŠ and will walk briefly about the basics about cryptography. So, this presentation contains basics about cryptography itself and CIA principles. We'll also walk through basic algorithms in cryptography, which is symmetric ciphers and asymmetric ciphers. And last but not least is hashing, and we'll touch slightly about passwords, more on the front of storing passwords. So, cryptography is a field of science about communication over insecure channels. Insecure channels means that it is a channel using which you transfer information, and this can span from postal service to radio broadcast or even to the currently most used one, and that is the internet. Basics have been here since even before Christ, but the most prominent use of cryptography was done in around 19th century, around which time there was even one big cryptographer, and that is Dutch Kerkhoff with his Kerkhoff's principle. The principle states that cryptography and any security should be public, and security should not require secrecy. This means that you should have practically impenetrable security device in places, not ones which can be broken down if you know how to use them. This was done because cryptography became public, so it was done for civil purposes, and that is why it became so prevalent in 19th century, as before then it was mainly used for military purposes. Now, let us hop onto the CIA principles, and those are three commonly used, and that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. CIA principles is a model to design the most optimal security device. In some cases you can see that availability is replaced with authenticity in case of cryptography, as we'll touch on why. Confidentiality means that there is no third party listening in case of cryptography, as you do not want anybody to listen to your private conversations. Integrity means that the message is sent in its entirety, also known as nothing is missing from that message. And authenticity as the last one means that you are sure that message was sent by the person who claims it was sent by. For example, person A sends a message to person B. You know that the message sent by person A was not altered by person C. Now, why availability is mostly used as a CIA principle instead of authenticity is probably certain, because availability means that security device in place does not hinder the security, or rather the service provided. That is why most of the time you will be using availability as a third CIA principle. Now, next ones are the symmetric and asymmetric ciphers. Firstly, before we get into symmetric ciphers, we'll walk through the diagram on the bottom right corner. And that is classic Alice Oscar Bob scheme. And the diagram states that Alice is some type of a sender. She has information she wants Bob to get. Bob is the receiver of the information, and man in the middle is Oscar, who is some type of attacker who wants to see what Alice is sending to Bob. This is from most of cryptography-based documentations. You'll most likely see Alice Oscar Bob's scheme most of the time. That is why I used one here too. Alice owns something which is known as plain text. That is the text she wants Bob to receive. Alice will send it through some type of cipher function in this diagram called C, and it will be transmitted over the insecure channel in secure form, that is encrypted. Then it will arrive to some decryption function called D, where Bob will decrypt it and receive the plain text. Between point C and point D, the information is traveling in what's known as ciphertext instead of plain text. Now, there is also one more important detail about this diagram, that cipher and decryption function require some kind of additional input, and that is called key, and that is why symmetric ciphers are called private key cryptography, as they use private key, which needs to be held by both parties, Alice and Bob. Now, you can see where is a problem with security, as Alice needs to be sure that Bob owns the same key as she owns. And that is a problem, as they need to contact each other over some type of insecure channel or meet in person, which sometimes is impossible. And that is called as key exchange dilemma. So, for this purpose, there were born asymmetric ciphers, and these two are used in pair. These asymmetric ciphers are also called public key cryptography, as there are two types of key. One key is called public key, that encrypts message only, and the other one decrypts it, only decrypts it. That is why Bob will hold private key and will use his own public key. He will distribute in some insecure channel public key to everybody he wants to be able to send message. He doesn't even care if Oscar can see public key, as they are entangled mathematically in such a way that calculating one out of the other is almost impossible. It would require some insane computation power, which so far computers don't have. And now you can see that Alice is now able to encrypt her public using Bob's public key, her message she wants Bob to get. And Bob can decrypt it using his only private key. That is the only private key that exists, so Bob is certain that only he will have the message. The text transferred between Alice and Bob here most of the time is key to the symmetric function, as asymmetric ciphers are insanely hard to computate. They require more mathematical power than symmetric ones. That is why Alice wants Bob to receive some type of private key for future conversation. And that is basically it about ciphers, and now we'll touch the end about hashing and passwords. Firstly, the password part, and that is danger of storing passwords. Passwords cannot be really stored in plain text. Firstly, it is against some laws, but that is less problematic, as you do not want your private information, in this case password, to be known to any owner of any website. So you do not want your Google or any type of other service to know your password. Thus, storing it in plain text is not really an option. Now you can ask yourself, well, we'll just encrypt it via some type of symmetric or asymmetric cryptography. That is also a bad idea, as there will be one person who holds the key, so one person will know your password. That is not the option. That is why there is a solution called hashing. Hashing is a type of mathematical function which is unreversible, and it basically allows for secure storage of passwords, as you guarantee the security of it being unreversible. The problem is brute forcing, as if you use too many common passwords, you'll end up in a situation where there will be some website which will use the hashing function your database is using, and they will encrypt or hash all common passwords, and they'll be able to crack the database by checking and comparing. This can be counteracted by using some random salt, but it will not work every time. So if you are using password, for example, password 123, there is a great chance that it was hashed out in many different ways with many different salts, and your password is basically in a plain text. And that is what you do not want to do. And this concludes our presentation. I do believe that it was helpful and you've learned something from it. Thank you and see you later. Goodbye.
Our guest today is Pavel Hejduk. He is a Chief Information Security Officer for one of the 10 largest energy companies in Europe, the ČEZ GROUP. Pavel has devoted his entire professional career to information and cyber security in electricity sector. Welcome, Mr.
Hello, good morning.
So, as I said, you are the Chief Information Security Officer in the ČEZ GROUP, but what does that mean?
Yeah, good question. My job is to set up and evaluate cyber security management system in ČEZ GROUP, and it's a definitive mission for us for many years, and for me and for my colleagues. We have strong support of our senior management, and it's really great. I have very talented colleagues in my team and in our subsidiaries as well.
Is the ČEZ GROUP operating also abroad, or do you concentrate to Czech market?
Yeah, our business strategy right now is accelerated to Czech Republic, to Czech territory. We have core business here, but we have few branch offices abroad, but we concern on Czech Republic, definitely.
The ČEZ GROUP operates in a number of workplaces. What cybersecurity challenges does that create?
For us, it's very important to understand what we have to protect. From the cybersecurity perspective, we see ČEZ GROUP like a multi-business organization, and the main business verticals are generation of electricity in our power plants. We operate a lot of power plants. The second very important is electricity distribution. We serve electricity to end customers in 5 of 8 distribution districts in Czech Republic. And the last very important, but not least, is sales, customer care, and energy services.
Based on statistics, it seems that the cyber attacks is growing every year. What are the most common types of cyber attacks you observe in the industry?
For my opinion, it's important to see that we all use internet and new technologies more and more in our private and working lives. And all the security risks are connected to it. We typically manage our bank accounts, we do online shopping, we use mobile applications and so on. And not all of us are able to recognize the cyber threats correctly, and it's very important to learn it and improve it. And in our working space, it's pretty same, I think. We have the common threats like malicious emails with malicious links and documents, or ransomware, or DDoS attacks, or information thefts. I think it's quite common threats, but we can see it maybe in large scale in our company, but it's typical.
And how can you defend yourself against the risk, or how can they be minimized?
For us, it's very important to run a security awareness program with our employees because most of the risks are connected to people, to our employees. And we try to train them and maybe teach them interesting things which they can use in their private lives. And then we are able to use these rules or follow these rules or use this knowledge in working space, like how to recognize malicious email, how to recognize the security risk in the internet. And it works. It's a pretty nice principle, I think. And we try to run every year periodically, let's say, private cyber attacks to our employees. We send them a malicious email and we force them to understand it, and it's connected to our awareness program.
And what is the role of your company in the field of critical information infrastructure and the information system of the essential services?
There are two very good reasons why we have to manage cybersecurity. First is to protect our business, because we are a business company, we have some business strategy and we have to protect our business. And the second is follow the rules and protect critical infrastructure of Czech Republic or European Union. And as I said, two of three our main business verticals are connected to critical infrastructure. One is protection of power generation, power plants, and second is protect technologies in distribution areas.
What does the European Cybersecurity Challenge mean for ČEZ?
It's a very interesting event for us because we trust the community of cybersecurity have to cooperate, share knowledge and this stuff, and it's very important to do it. And this event is really nice to meet the people, and we are happy to be in touch with it. And I hope maybe in the future we could welcome someone of the attendee of this competition in our teams.
So thank you very much for a nice interview, and have a nice day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Let me welcome here at the ECSC 2021, Christos Xenakis from Greece. Welcome.
Thank you very much for your invitation and this wonderful organization.
You're welcome.
It's really a pleasure for us to be here in Prague.
How would you shortly introduce your team?
Okay, my name is Christos Xenakis. I'm the captain of the Greek cybersecurity team. My team consists of 10 contestants, like all the teams. And this is the 5th year that we participate in the European Cybersecurity Challenge. We are excited to be here, and we love to participate in this competition.
And what do you think is the biggest strength of your team?
Yeah, I think, okay, we have the capacity to deal with all the challenges, but mainly I think the strength of my team is to the web. The web challenge, I think, it's our tool, let's say, our expertise.
Who do you think will be the most challenging opponent?
No, I think personally for me, the most challenging component is the crypto, because I'm a university professor, and this is something that combines the skills of the cybersecurity, but also the scientific knowledge. We are strong in this area as well, because we have two very, very strong players.
And last but not least, in your language, how would you say we are the champions?
Θα είμαστε οι πρωταθλητές.
Thank you and all the best to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Let me welcome here at the ECSC 2021, James Mullen from Ireland. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Can you shortly introduce your team?
Well, I'm James. I'm the representing the manager for Team Ireland. My team is consisted of students all over the country. We're coming in from different counties, which would be like states. So we have Galway. We actually have North of Ireland as well. We have Meath. We have Cork and we have Dublin, so it's a bit of a wide variety in our country coming together.
And what would you consider as the biggest strength of your team?
The biggest strength would definitely be, most likely be three things. It would be the heart, soul and support. There are just always been people who can just get together right away and immediately bond, immediately support. And we always work from the mindset of if someone would be the lesser member of skill, it's a matter of importance of bringing them to the top and not just focusing on the top and moving forward.
And who do you think will be the most challenging component for you?
I think the most challenging is always going to be every team. We get very friendly people, so we usually become friends with the teams before it happens, and for that reason, I guess everyone is the most challenging.
And last but not least, in your language, how do you say "we are the champions"?
So we actually say "we are the champions," but we do have some alternate ways, but I think "we are the champions" is just the most common one. So.
Thank you and all the best to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, river dance.
Welcome to the breaking news. What happened in the last hour? Right now, the first three places are taken by Poland, Germany, and France. One of the hardest challenges, the bomb, was finally solved. It was special because after any mistake made by the team, the bomb exploded, as well as the chance to get any points for it. The first blood was finally drawn by the German team. The hacker drive challenge, though, still remains unhacked. And sadly, one of the challenges, namely searching for exfiltrated data, had a fatal flaw and was unsolvable until recent fix. On behalf of the organizers, we apologize for the mistake that made this challenge impossibly hard for all teams. In the next hour, you can look forward to our interview with Andrea Konopásková about women in the cybersecurity industry. Another guest in our studio will be Miroslav Nečas, introducing tomorrow's conference, Does the Human Brain Stand a Chance? And we will also learn more about the currently unbeaten national escape room in an interview with its architect. Stay tuned.
Passionate about cybersecurity? Want to link up with people like you and collaborate towards a common goal? Then get ready for the European Cyber Security Challenge. Students and young talent from all over Europe gather to network, collaborate and compete. This is not an ordinary hacking competition. First, prove your networking and technical skills in your national competition. Next, challenge teams from other countries at the European Finals. Taking place every year, the ECSC connects young minds to shape the future of cybersecurity. It doesn't matter who you are, as long as you have what it takes. In a fast-changing world, there's never been a greater need for IT security superstars. Are you ready to join the journey? To kickstart a career protecting digital services that improve European lives? Find out about upcoming national competitions and the European Cybersecurity Challenge on our website. Prove you're elite and join us at ECSC.
Hi guys, this is Andrea. Let's talk passwords, shall we? We've all been through a fairly similar situation. You go on a website, the website requests a registration, you put in all the things, username, email, password, you click OK, and the website rejects your registration saying your password is too weak, that it lacks digits, it lacks uppercase letters, it lacks a special character, and also it is too short. Well, so you do all of those things. You add in the numbers, you make letters uppercase, you add in a special character, you submit the registration, works well, registration is complete, but you don't remember the password anymore. Well, let's talk about why Monkey is not a good password and how to actually come up with good and memorable ones. Now, to understand the security aspects of passwords, first we have to look at how hackers actually crack your password. Obvious way is just taking a guess. This is not really how hackers do it, but someone you know or someone who knows you might simply take a guess, and if your password is your pet's name, your address, you really do need to change your password soon. But anyway, moving on, how hackers really crack passwords is cracking a leaked hash. From time to time, and really more often than you'd think, websites get hacked and their database with all the credentials gets leaked. And you might think that a database looks something like this, like user and password. This is known as storing the passwords in plain text. Nowadays that's not really the case. Nowadays, once you register, the process is a little bit different. The website takes your password, then it generates random salt, which is just random bytes. Then it combines these, and the whole thing, the website hashes it. That means it irreversibly transforms it into random looking set of bytes. And so the database looks something more like this. And without hashing, all I, as an attacker, have to do is just simply take the password, go to any other site I know you're registered on, try it, and most likely I will succeed, because frankly, lots of people are reusing the same passwords everywhere. And so, how hackers crack these hashes once they get leaked? Well, obvious way is by a brute force. And that is essentially just trying every possible combination. So you start with 4 zeros, then 3 zeros and 1, 3 zeros and a 2, and so on and so on. Hopefully somewhere along the way you will guess the password. This can work for shorter ones well, but you can imagine with longer passwords the time required really gets astronomical. So a more clever way to approach this is to use dictionaries. Not just any dictionaries, but actually you use something like top 5 million most used passwords and try every one of them. And really, it is not that uncommon to see a password that is in those lists. It's, after all, these are the most used passwords. So really, how to come up with good passwords? Well, a very good idea is to simply use a passphrase instead of a password. What is a passphrase? Well, you simply come up with a random, unrelated sentence, like a green snowman drags the rock, completely random. But, I mean, look at that, that's like 30 characters long. Have a good luck brute forcing that. And it's definitely not in any dictionary. If you really want to stick to passwords, you can just think of 2 random words. Let's take huge and leaf, combine them in a funky way, add in some numbers, also drop in a special character, and you get something that looks random, but believe me, it will be memorable for you. I've used this method several times and it works. I remember those passwords. Well, let's wrap it up. Guys, remember, never use the same password twice. Do not use common passwords. Passphrases are better than passwords. And finally, the absolutely best solution is not to rely on these techniques and just use completely random passwords and store them in a good password manager. From the top of my head, I can recommend Bitwarden, but the choice is on you. Really, password managers solve these issues easily. And actually, a little activity at the end, you can check out a website which is called howsecureismypassword.net, and the website will try to calculate somehow how long it would take for a hacker to crack your password. How reliable is it? I have no idea, but you can try it. Well, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Our next guest works at Alef Group, one of the biggest IT distributors in Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Hungary, Romania and Adriatic countries. Alef is a value-add distribution whose real value-add are training centers. I would like to welcome in our studio the head of the training centers, Andrea Konopásková. Hello.
Hello.
It's very nice to have a woman in here for a change. Let's take this opportunity and talk a little bit more about women in cybersecurity. Thanks to your job, you have a pretty good overview of people working in the sector. In your estimation, how big is the female representation?
I can see the one view, for example, from the point of view of participants of cybersecurity courses, what we are offering in training center, I can see around 20% of women attendees. But I think the real number in cybersecurity field, there is maximum 10% of women.
Well, does that mean that women are more interested in further education?
It really depends on type of education, but we can say yes, because for example, the good example is the ratio of girls and boys in the technical universities, because this ratio is growing.
And do you see any general differences in the attitude of males and females toward cybersecurity?
Yes, of course. I think women, they have excellent skills in organizational and process security skills. Typical role is cybersecurity manager. Men occur in every area, so organizational, process, technical and education roles. And of course, men really dominate in the technical field.
For a few years now, you participate at the National Cybersecurity competition. How many girls are attending?
It's every year is growing, so now we have around 30% of girls participants. But we are unique. Czech Republic is unique in this number because other countries have around 10%. And I think it's based on the excellent work of FCA, the Czech chapter, because they organize this competition and really informs schools and teachers about this competition, and after that teachers motivate students to participate. I think what is also really unique that Czech team has a captain girl, and I believe that this high number of 30% of girls participation is a really natural interest without positive discrimination.
The positive discrimination doesn't seem like the best way for Czech women. They don't react to it very well. What do you think that we lack that would attract women to cybersecurity without positive discrimination?
I think examples, because, and maybe of course more evangelization, what is cybersecurity about, because really important is to explain what kind of work and the job position cybersecurity can offer, and of course patterns, because for example the CEO of National Security Authority in the Czech Republic is a woman. I believe based on these examples and evangelization, maybe more women discover this cybersecurity field because it's really prestigious, and because women, for example, discovered also IT world some time ago.
Do you think that maybe compulsory mathematics graduation exams can help to get more women interested in technical fields? Because contrary to the popular belief, they can find out that they're actually good at mathematics.
Yeah, but I believe that any obligation couldn't make some interest or develop talents. I think you have to find really natural interest of some topic. So for example, if you are technical oriented, you have to start earlier in a primary school.
And what attracted you personally to cybersecurity?
To be honest, business. But what is really pleasing, and I'm really happy that in cybersecurity field are working really amazing people, and it's a really pleasure to work with them.
It is rumored that there's a sort of a glass ceiling in technical industries, that women don't get promoted above certain management level. Do you think that's true, and how did you succeed?
I believe that the demand must meet the supply. And I think question is how many women are really interested to get some top management positions in technical oriented company. I think it's up to each person.
You are the only woman in your company's middle and higher management.
Yeah.
Does that bring more advantages or disadvantages?
Case by case, but in general, I think only cooperation, men and women, is, I think, really advantage and competitive advantage, because they are complement each other, and I think they can together find the solution quickly.
In your opinion, is there room in cybersecurity for women even without the IT education? Are we maybe suited better for some of the positions?
Yeah, definitely yes, but of course they have to be technical oriented, but not some deep, for example, technical skills, because great technicians discovered and realized that they are not really good in organization. So always, if you have a success team, you have to have a leader, and women are naturally good managers and leaders. So I think, yeah, there is big space what to do in cybersecurity field.
At Alef, you offer opportunities for students without any differences for boys and girls. Would you like to mention some of them?
Yeah, I can mention we regularly organize this cybersecurity incubator. It's a program of a series of seminars which are held by our cybersecurity experts. And after this cybersecurity incubator, a lot of students attend like an internship at Alef, and several of them after that became our colleagues, also girls.
Yeah, so you got something out of your participation at the competition.
Yeah, of course, it was a pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much for the interview and for being one of the good examples.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation.
The organizer of this year's European Cyber Security Challenge is the Czech branch of AFCEA, Armed Forces Communications and Electronics Association. I would like to welcome here Mr. Miroslav Nečas, a member of a board of directors of AFCEA. We will talk about the topic of cybernetics and artificial intelligence. Hello, Mr. Nečas.
Hello, good morning.
So, as I said, you are a member of a board of directors of AFCEA. Could you please give us a short introduction to what AFCEA does and what are its main goals, please?
Yeah. AFCEA was founded in 1946 in the United States, and the goal is to connect and network experts on ICT from the army, from industry and from education. And we are trying to give a platform to them to discuss information, to share experience together.
What other institutions will take part in competition, and what about preparations for European Cybersecurity Challenge, how it's going?
It's really fine going. And we started in 2016 with National Challenge, and because we have really good results in Europe, we are awarded by ENISA to organize ECSC 2021 in Prague, in Czech Republic. And on this, we are participating also the talents from the National Challenge, like Jiří Bartůšek or Filip Hruška, who are doing the exercises and preparing infrastructure for this. So it's now going very well, and I'm looking forward to the final.
And what about these institutions?
The main partner is NUKIP, who is the garant for the ECSC, and its National Cyber and Information Security Agency. But we have also support from other government bodies, like from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Education, or by intelligence, military intelligence, civil intelligence, that help us with exercises for students, for example.
I would like to know why is cybersecurity an important topic? Why should we focus on that?
It's more and more important. You have possibly not noticed the attack for hospitals in recent time, and last week the attack on the Czech railways, for example. And especially now in the pandemic time, it's very important because now we are our lives in electronic world.
Everywhere around us.
We are sitting at home and we are doing learning like students. We are buying things in shops and watching electronic media and seeing through the eyes of electronic media what's going on in the world. So it's very important to be sure that what we see and what we do, it's a real thing, but it's not just a metric.
Yeah. You are also organizer of a conference, Does the Human Brain Stand a Chance, which has been running since 2019. This conference combines the topic of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. So could you please elaborate at the main subject of conference and who are the main participants, please?
There is a lot of marketing hype connected to AI, but if you look beneath this hype, it's a really good part of technology that is based on machine learning or deep machine learning, and it brings new capabilities because you don't have a lot of experts that are possible to set some rules and prepare complicated models. So the training on some data sets, it's advantage for many areas like machine perception or driving unmanned vehicles, for example, or even for targeting weapons. So there are many applications of AI, and because AI will be more broadly used, it's very important to focus on security, because some malfunction or some attacks on AI can have little impacts to people.
Let's take a closer look at the topic of cybernetics and artificial intelligence. How does these two things relate to each other?
There are two things, two relations. First is that AI is used in cybersecurity for behavioral analysis of network communication, for example. And it's used to detect some odd behavior in the networks that can point to some attack or some malfunction. And there is another aspect, and on the second aspect we will focus on the conference, and that is that AI is technology, and as a technology has some vulnerabilities and can be attacked. And because the AI is used in many applications and will be used more and more, like for driving cars or aiming the guns or reading or doing also media. So it will be very important to rely on this technology. And there will be new brand new attacks on it, like poisoning the data that are used for training. And because the AI is not very transparent to people, and it's very hard to understand how the system will work in some extreme situation of if there are no bugs inside, if the rules are well set, for example. So it's very important to understand the security aspect of AI and to prepare on it.
Yeah, so what about the regulation? How is artificial intelligence regulated? You know, there are some risks, or in contrary, how artificial intelligence can benefit us?
There is not a lot of regulation now, like system certification, and there is a lot of work to be done. And on the other way, there are some regulations that are avoiding broader use of AI, for example, data protection, because you need a lot of training data, and if this is strictly regulated, it's a bit of a problem. In other countries, like in China and others, there is no such regulation, and they have advantage to us. And if we would like to stay at the edge of technological edge, we need to work with it somehow.
The conference will run parallel to European Cyber Security Challenge. So what will the conference look like? Is there something new that we can look forward to this year?
Yeah, there is the connection between ECSC and conference, and we prepare the student section of the conference, and we will introduce here the essays by the teams on artificial intelligence and the security aspects of it. And I'm really looking forward to it, because it's top hackers from Europe, from more than 20 countries. So I'm really looking forward to the results of these essays, and we are planning to hold some panel discussions with these teams. So it will be very interesting. I think it will bring new view to the cybersecurity and artificial intelligence and the aspects of security of artificial intelligence. So I would like to invite everybody to see it.
I'm curious about that. So thank you very much for this interview and have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The National Escape Room Challenge seems to be really hard this year. So far, none of the teams managed to solve it in the time limit. Let's find out more with Jiří Bartůšek, main coordinator of the competition part of ECSC and former captain of Czech Cyber team. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you for having me. I mean, with the former captain, it's so long ago. It was 2017, so it's too long. I don't even remember what happened there, but like, yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm so glad that I can be here to talk about the national challenges, because it's challenge for a reason. So,
well, you are one of the brains behind it. Is it a new concept at the ECSC?
Not at all. First things first, I'm not the only one. There are lots of people that were working on the national challenge, and I would say that it was teamwork together with 3 companies. ENISA for start, Auxilium that helped with the hardware part, and our team that brought not so hardware stuff into that. So, but like, to be honest, it's not the first time that we see it on ECSC. I mean, in London, that was 2018, there was one escape room. It was more of a lock picking and trying to break into something. That's something, let's say, we like this idea and we wanted to explore it more, and we found out that this kind of competition with more of a hacking aspect, rather than having more of lock picking or anything, may be better. And right now, I believe teams are like cursing me for having these challenges, because they're really challenging.
Mm-hmm. And what's the connection with this year's background story with the flight in space?
Right. So the story behind the escape room is that they've got saboteur on ship. Let's say it's not an intentional saboteur, because it's a prankster, and he wanted to make a prank for their colleagues, and wanted to have the spaceship like running off and on. So it was some sort of innocent prank, but like their IC board went fritz, and that's bad. It's bad, you're stuck in space, right? But what's worse is that in 20 minutes after you started, you are on a collision course with asteroid. That's not so good. So they have to find out how to actually, let's say, find a device that's inside that they can connect to and try to stop the ship. It's not easy, because the challenge was designed for 30 minutes of solve time. They have 20 minutes. And we are helping them with some parts inside the room that's physical, and we're helping them, so they should be able to solve it in time.
Okay, and what is the principle of the escape room? Is it hardware oriented, or?
I can't go into the details. I can nor deny what you said, or how's it called? But like, the thing is that there's IC board, so it may be hardware, maybe. There are some software that they have to hack. It's some sort of anything from everything. So
okay.
Yeah, so there are lots of things they have to follow. There are also some baits that they're using, and like trying to find out more about the things that are actually not related to the challenge at all. But we are there for them, so we're giving some tips when we see the time is running out, so they have more chance to make it in time. So yeah.
Okay, and so are like soft skills important?
I don't think so. It's more of a hard skills. I think there is one part that some people are, let's say, trying to find more in it than it is. So it depends on the people in person. Someone have it in Snap, and some are actually trying to spin their head in. So it depends on the person and personality at all.
And do the participants need any special tools or devices?
Just their notebook. Like they have to debug it on something, and they have to connect into something. I can't tell more else, but like they just need a notebook. They don't need anything else because everything else will be provided for them.
And is it physically challenging?
Physically, I wouldn't say so. Like we have more physical challenge prepared for them on Friday when there's gonna be the ceremony awarding. We prepare for them outside the challenges some special game in Vyšehrad Garden. So we're keen to see that. That's gonna be physical for sure. But more or less, they're just in one room and trying to think how to stop the spaceship.
And how many team members enter the escape room?
It varies. It's on them, so it's their decision. If they want to have one person, like sure, it's not recommended. If they want full 10 people, like yeah, sure, why not? It's not recommended, but yeah, it's your problem. If you're gonna have a problem that too many people are in the same room and they're trying to tell one guy that has one notebook what to do, like it's kind of stressful. So around 3 to 5 people are like standard, and I would bring 3 people there because it's kind of enough.
And is there a lot of debate between the team members before they enter, like how many we will send, who we will send? I don't want to go, you go.
Like I said, it depends. It depends. They're strategic. They're trying to find a strategic in that, and that's why we do have that right here. But like, the thing is that I believe they kind of know who to bring, but just like everybody wants to try it, right? But not everyone can. So they're just. I want to try it. No, me and something like that.
Okay, so you told us how many people enter the room. How many leave the room? Are there any heart attacks, or do you take prisoners?
I'll get back to you with that. I don't think so. But like I said, I'm not certain. So I don't want to lie in stream that we killed someone. So yeah, like everybody comes out. But like I think. Their feelings are like we want to stay there and die after going out. So because it's challenging. It's challenge for a reason. So
and why do you think it's so hard for the teams to beat it? Is it just the time limit, or?
It's time limit for sure. Time limit is crucial because we had not enough time to give them. To some people, we had to raise the time because they had problems with connecting. So that's okay. But overall, they have problem also with going for the easy solution. They're trying their head to like they're trying to find more than it's in there. So when they see something, they got like already like eight answers, and like those 8 answers, they're just gonna try 3 because they think it's the hardest one. It makes sense to be it, right? But no, it might not be.
And the most important question of all, is it a part of the competition? Do the teams collect any point for it? Well, in the case that someone will beat it.
Oh yeah, like if they're dead, like, and will manage it in time, I don't think that's possible. But like if he's gonna have a heart attack, as you said, probably. But yes, they will give points for that. But the points are with the same mechanics as all of the challenges that we have here. Those challenges have maximum of 500 points, and depending on how many teams actually solve the challenge, we're decreasing it for everyone. So in case like one people actually solve the challenge, one team done it, they're just gonna get 500 points. But as soon as there's gonna be 3, 4, everybody's gonna get the same points. So this way, with the dynamic scoring, we're regulating the difficulty of the challenge, because we are biased. We can't say for sure that the challenge is like hard or easy. So we're leaving that to them. We've got a guy from MathPhys, from Mathematical Physics Unit of the University of Charles University, and he calculated a formula for us that we're using today for that. And that formula is showing us that the Poland is first maybe today, but Ireland is just solved the challenge, and right now the Poland is lower.
Yeah.
Nobody expected that, but like at the end of this day, if they didn't solve everything from this day, sadly these challenges will be disregarded. If you didn't solve it today, you better luck next time. But tomorrow there will be everything else. So we got lots of challenges this year.
Okay, well, let's see if anyone will get those 500 points or less for the escape room.
I'm looking forward to it, and I hope so, because it will prove that it's possible.
Okay, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you for having me. See you guys at the ceremony, probably.
Yeah.
On the stream. Yeah.
Let me welcome here at ECSC 2021 in Prague, Antoine Debono from Malta. Welcome.
Thanks.
Can you shortly introduce your team?
So we are Team Malta. It's our first time participating in the ECSC. We had a national competition in July where we have chosen 12 participants, and then we have chosen the 10 participants in a final competition in August. Then we did a boot camp to train more the participants.
And what do you think is the biggest strength of your team?
So basically we have a couple of mathematicians in the team. So our biggest strength is cryptography and anything related to maths.
Wow, so a big diversity. Which team do you think will be your biggest opponent?
Oh, it's difficult, but I think Denmark and Poland are doing really great in the challenge, so they will be our biggest opponents.
And last question, in your language, how do you say we are the champions?
Ahna Rabbiha.
Okay, thank you and all the best to you.
Same, thanks.
Let me welcome here at ECSC 2021 in Prague, Jasper Boot from the Netherlands. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So how would you shortly introduce your team?
Oh, shortly. That's difficult, but well, I think we have a really diverse team. We have a really broad skill set. Besides having just individual talents, I think we also made a really great team of them. I'm really proud of that, actually. So, yeah.
And what do you think is the biggest strength of your team?
Ooh. Yeah, well, I think if you build a team out of individual talents, they can really work together. We divided like the different technical topics among them. And we have a really good team captain as well. And I think that's the key to having a good team, besides just having individual talent. And just to add to that, I think there's really a really nice story about our team captain. He actually ran a marathon even just 3 days ago, and now he's here coaching the team, which I think is just amazing.
That really is amazing. And who do you think will be your biggest opponent in the challenge?
It's really difficult. I think every country is really good. So I've been here also in the competition 2 years ago, and I was like, man, everyone is so good. But this year, our southern neighbors, the Belgians, are also in the competition. So I think if we end below them on the scoreboard, we cannot fly home anymore. So we'll definitely need to beat them this week. Yeah.
And last but not least, in your language, how do you say "we are the champions"?
You say it like this: "Wij zijn de kampioenen."
Thank you and all the best to you.
Thank you.